Good morning, comrades. Yes, allow me to ride on the protocols that have been observed, and I thank this young man called Joshua Kitenge for what he has just shared with us. And I'd like to just mention that at Strathmore we have many young people like Joshua. We have a mentoring system where each of those young people has a mentor. And those of us who work in Strathmore are allocated a number of mentees. What Joshua has shared here is something we often hear. We are told that statistically, those who are 55 years and above make up less than 6% of the population. And therefore, when we talk about the future, we are talking about young people who we love very much because they are many and they have big dreams, which we need to encourage. So when we considered this idea of the Transform Africa Network, we realized we have a responsibility for these young people, and therefore their voice needs to be heard. Hence the opening remarks by Joshua. Let's give him a very big clap, please. I doubt if many of us at the age of 19 would fathom the idea of standing for a member of parliament and campaign on a donkey cart. That is the kind of youth we have in this country with great potential. Mine this morning is very brief and very straightforward. People have been asking, what is the Transform Africa Network? What is the Transform Africa Network? And I will share with you the concept, and I will start by saying that this network is being launched in commemoration of the 20 years that the Strathmore Business School has been in existence. 20 years since 2005 till 2025. Number one, we are very grateful to God for the privilege of conceiving a business school, starting it, and growing it to where we are right now. And allow me now to recognize our founding dean, Dr. George Jenga. I want him to stand up. We'll give him a big clap. This is the man who was there at the beginning, and I had a conversation with him way back then, and he told me, Caesar, we're going to set up the best business school in Africa to compete with the best in the world. And I think we are on our way from that dream that he had with others. Let's give him a very big clap, please. So this convening is partly to give thanks to God and for the people he put in our midst who are able to conceive such an idea and bring us up to this process with sweat and blood. That's the first point. Number two, when this business school was conceived, it developed a vision and a mission, and the vision stated very specifically that we shall be a leading world-class business school spearheading Africa's transformation. It sounded crazy. This huge continent, and this little business school that has just started, plans to spearhead Africa's transformation. It sounds crazy. But we put it down on paper and said, that's where we want to go. We then said our mission, we got to work on a lever called leadership. There are many things we can work on, but if we can fix this one, and in our mission we put it there, it's highlighted, to develop ethical and transformational leaders. Because we knew if we could just get those kind of leaders, then we could meet that crazy dream to transform this great continent. Have we done it? It's all work in progress. 20 years later. And we're saying 20 years have passed, but we're looking forward to the next 20 years, the next 200 years, because there are so many young people who are going to come after us. We're in a relay race, my friends. That's all. We get the baton for a short time, and then we pass it on to the Joshuas of this world, right? That's what it's all about. So we've got to look ahead and not say we've done so much great things in the past. No, ask ourselves, what can we do going forward? That's a question we're asking as we set up or consider this concept of this Transform Africa Network. So why the Transform Africa Network? Why? We have a theory of change. In other words, these are just concepts or ideas which are saying, let's dream big and hopefully have an idea of how we can change. The first point of the theory of change is, number one, we are in Africa. We find ourselves in this place called Africa, the place that needs us at this point in time in history. Only for a short time. Even if we live for 100 years, it's a short time. But that's where we are in this point in history. A continent with huge potential, huge opportunities, and many challenges to be addressed. That's the first point. We got to remember this and bear it in mind. Number two, privilege bestows responsibility. We recognize that we are the privileged few. Much has been given to us and much is expected. Privilege bestows responsibility on us. Many of us recognize in our society, in our residential areas and residential associations, that very few people are willing to serve. Only a few step up and say, I will be the treasurer of the association, I will be the chairman, and others sit back. Yet they want security. They want a clean environment. They have not realized that privilege bestows responsibility. And we are saying in our theory of change, more of us have got to say and realize that this is it. The reason we are perhaps not moving is because people don't realize this, and they shun it. And they say, I am okay. And I don't care about the rest out there. I don't care about those young people behind me. Because I'm okay. So that's the second point in our theory of change. Let us embrace this concept and realize that privilege bestows responsibility. And number three is that we have a window of opportunity. We all operate in a window of opportunity. As custodians for future generations, we choose to do what we can in this window. And that means, as human beings, we have intelligence and free will. Free will is the ability to choose to do something, even when you don't feel like. In the window of opportunity we call life. Many of us have enjoyed many years professionally in the things that we've done, and we've blessed with many years. Our window keeps getting shorter. But the young people have a bigger window. Our window is going to end at some point in time. The question is, what will we have done with our window of opportunity? Let us be aware of this every waking moment of our lives when we get up from our beds, because there'll come a day we shall not wake up. Number four, coming together of like-minded people is a force for positive change. Sometimes we feel we're alone and there are so many things that need to be done. But there are too many and I'm alone. And that's why we feel the idea of a network is going to bring us together. Through the TAN network, personal conviction, responsibility, and action can be catalyzed to grow for greater impact. Individuals focused on their spheres of influence will lead to positive overall impact. That's the whole idea of the network. And finally, we'll have the long-term impact, which says we'll have a better continent. Whereas we are told more and more people can live in dignity rather than the indignity of subsistence and survival, which is so rampant in this continent of 1.5 billion people. Those of you who may have read the autobiography of the late President Lincoln will recall that he had a passion where he said, there is no reason why we should live on this earth and say that because there are certain people who are slaves and we are better off, it's okay. He faced a huge resistance because the economy of the United States was based on slavery. And many people said, we are okay. And he said, we are not okay. If these people are not okay, they are not living in dignity. It is not fair. He understood. He understood that we cannot be okay when others are not okay. It doesn't matter how well we are doing. We can't block that out of our consciousness. We are human beings. We have to feel for others. Otherwise, there's something very wrong with us. So long-term outcome and impact is an Africa that is transformed when more and more people are able to live in dignity and to call this place home. So we then came up with a network purpose to inspire more positive change makers for Africa's transformation. Simple. More change makers. That's you and I and the people you will influence to be change makers in your spaces. That's what we want to inspire in simple terms. And we give it a slogan for hearts and minds that call Africa home. But calling Africa home is not enough. We have to freely choose to do more, my dear friends. Because there are many who call Africa home, but they do nothing about it. Freely choosing is the most beautiful human element that we can bestow upon ourselves, because then we are really living, not just existing. So for hearts and minds that call Africa home, freely choosing to do more. Joshua mentioned some facts on Africa. I won't go into them. 30 million square kilometers of great land, 1.5 billion people, 54 countries, numerous resources. The richest, poorest continent in the world. Africa, with all its resources, is the richest yet poorest. A GDP of $2.7 trillion approximately, 54 countries, economies with 2.84 of the world's GDP and 19% of the population. The question we ask ourselves, are we children of a lesser God? I see brilliance in this room. When Africans go to the diaspora, they do very well. We have Africans in different places leading. They have left and done very well, world class. So what happened to us? That's the question we keep asking, and that's why this network is so important. The narrative can change, my dear friends. The narrative of the dark continent has to change. The narrative of the third world has to change. The narrative of a war-torn continent has to change. The narrative of the haven of corruption has to change. The narrative of poor governance has to change. The narrative of poverty and glaring inequalities has to change. But it has to start somewhere, with individuals who choose to do something about it in their spheres of influence. Green transition minerals, I will not go into this story. They all go out and they're added value out there, and the wealth remains there. And here we are left with the breadcrumbs that fall from the table to scramble for them, while others utilize them. As they're utilized, the same money that came from here is brought back as loans and aid. That's the narrative. Can we change it? Individuals who choose can. Yet desperation persists in this sea of wealth, poverty, lack of food, corruption, mismanagement, lack of hope for a better future. As people exist in this desperation, we have the very sad incident of many young people trying to cross over, getting to the north, beyond Mount Kenya, beyond Samburu. They're trying to get to the coast of the Mediterranean Ocean, out in Libya. That's the direction of the north many young people are trying to get to in the continent. And they jump onto these little dingy boats. 50% of them perish in that water. But we are okay. We don't know them. That's them. We are okay. Those are our brothers and sisters. Those are our children. The UNHCR recorded in 2008 to 2021, 484,000 recorded crossings. People trying to cross. 484,300 recorded deaths 8,899. The official figures, I'm told the official figures are just 10% of the real figures. We don't know them. They're not our children. We are okay. I don't think that's the way to live. Some disturbing statistics, of course. The gross domestic product of this continent tells it all. Japan has a gross domestic product double the entire African continent. The state of Texas in the United States produces more than the entire African continent. The state of California produces more. With all the wealth we have, with all the people we have, with all the land we have, it doesn't matter. Somebody said, it doesn't matter. Even if we found more wealth under the ground, nothing is going to change unless we change in our hearts. And that's a reality. Ask, how can a small like Japan without resources produce so much without natural resources? The answer is, it's in the mind. They honor human beings. They honor work. They have integrity. They have good values. They innovate for the world, and they provide goods and services that people need without trying to take shortcuts. That's why they're able to do that. So, my dear friends, the Transform Africa Network is here with us. We are looking ahead after 20 years of developing great African leaders. Yes, that's one of our slogans. Our brother, Dr. George Jenga, and the team he had at the beginning done so much. We honor these people and we thank God for them from the hearts. We want to multiply change makers for greater impact. That's it. And here we see the change makers who have been there, have been doing great work. We want to accelerate, increase intentionality, and increase impact. It's a journey that is continuous. It will never end. We are the ones who will end our life here on earth, but this journey will not end. Continuous. And so we say, bring people together and reinforce a shared vision. That's what we're trying to do. Inspire action and emotional connection. That's what we're trying to do in the network. Build conviction and momentum. That's what we've got to continue doing. Foster involvement, dialogue, and learning from one another. That's what it's all about. We hope you can relate to this. The tentative roadmap for the future suggests a few things. Again, a work in progress. Share experiences through periodic change makers symposiums. Develop case studies on change initiatives. Develop initiatives within spheres of influence. All of us have a sphere of influence. Grow momentum through country chapters throughout Africa. Yes, every country in Africa will be talking about transforming Africa. Imagine how we can multiply the change processes and possibilities if everyone is talking about this throughout the continent. And we can monitor the progress. In conclusion, we know people want to thrive, not just survive. We know all of you value the idea of thriving, to be happy, to have a high morale, to be motivated, to be content, to feel good and eager about being alive, about being in this continent, about doing meaningful work. Everybody, not only us, deserves this to thrive. My dear friends, the network can help Africa transform. Africa can transform. Africa will transform. Let us take up this spirit and join the movement. Thank you very much. God bless you.